Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. My name is Jeff. I'm one of the instructors at Sky Tavern, and we're here talking about grommets, what the program is about, how it's going to work, and yeah, let's get started. All right, Grommets is Sky Tavern's snowboarding program for little kids ages 4 through 7. If we had a motto, it would be that we're teaching kids how to snowboard by building muscle memory and then finding a fun way to apply that on the snow in a way that naturally teaches the kid how to snowboard. It's important to recognize that Sky Tavern is not a normal ski resort. It is primarily a training and learning facility. However, after class, students and families are welcome to free ski until the lift shut down, usually around 4 o'clock. Grommets is supported by volunteers. And as adults in Grommets, we want to make sure it's clear that our primary volunteer role at Sky Tavern will be teaching a grommet how to snowboard. Again, Grommets is not a babysitting program. It's not like other resorts where you can drop your kid off with an instructor and then go ski. We built this together. So as such, we ask that at least one adult for every grommet family be registered as a Sky Kid parent, and they're expected to be out on the snow teaching a grommet during class time, even if they don't snowboard themselves. Most members of grommets, this is their first year at Sky Tavern. I mention this because every once in a while we'll have parents say, hey, this is my first year, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know how to teach snowboarding, so I'm going to sit this out. That's most of us. So please don't let this hold you back because we really need everyone to step up. And then also, traditionally parents don't teach their own kids. This is one of the big success keys of Sky Tavern, in that kids are more receptive to adults other than their parents. Again, there's exceptions to this, but as a general rule of thumb, we want to be teaching other kids besides our own. We have a program specifically for kids under 8 because we want to create the best learning environment for those kids to learn how to snowboard. At this age, we understand they aren't likely to comprehend long verbal instructions. So in grommets, we again focus on building that muscle memory of the necessary movements and skills and implement those in a fun way that naturally teaches them how to snowboard. We allow them to experience more doing rather than, say, watching an instructor demonstrate something and then listening to instructions. And then we also love to have fun. Some of the kids at this age, they get burnt out a little bit easy. We want to make sure they have a clear avenue so that they can get back out of class safely, even if they just want to play in the snow, because we want to make sure that they want to come back. We want them to love the sport. We want to have them love outside. Now, we understand some kids, especially ages 6 and 7, might be more advanced and they're ready for the 8 and up program. If they're already tearing up blue square runs, and they're mature enough to be in a class of 6 to 8 kids with an instructor, the larger program might fit them best. We'll look at that, and they'll be in the program that serves them the most. When you arrive at Sky Tavern, if you're coming from the Reno area, you're going to come up Mount Rose Highway. You're going to take the second entrance into Sky Tavern, into the parking entrance. You're going to follow the volunteers in the parking lot. Parking will be tight, especially for the first few weeks. And then I want to point out on this map, highlighted in red there, what we call the Grommets Base Camp, or sometimes referred to as the Aspens. This is where we're going to meet in the morning. This is where usually the check-in or checkout desk will be, depending on the weather or congestion of some other programs at the lodge, whether or not we have a window available. That's where we'll be lining up for class. And then also I want to point out the storage shed here that most likely a lot of our equipment is going to be in. But again, as volunteers, we ask for help setting up and tearing down before and after class. So this is a picture of some of our awesome volunteers from last year. This is kind of the check-in desk that we had there. When you check in, please make sure your child's attendance is marked on their progress card. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We're going to get a vest that has a little handle on the back and lets everyone know on the mountain what program they're in. Please have your child gather near the lineup signs, or there'll be a group of kids that'll be directed over there for morning exercises. After you drop your kid off, we're going to meet as parents or meet as adults. We're going to go over some key announcements and some different programming activities that's going on that day. Notice on the table there's also a lot of snacks, especially fruit snacks. Please consider donating a box or two of fruit snacks. They really help the kids get a little extra boost while on the mountain. Let's talk about the daily schedule. At 8:45 to 9 o'clock, that's when we want to start checking into the Grommets desk. Again, that's going to be most likely down in the Aspens or possibly up at the lodge if we have a window. Around 8:55, 9 o'clock, Sky Tavern is going to have some program-wide announcements over their PA system, as well as observing the national anthem. Most of the older classes are going to start at 9 o'clock. However, in Grommets, we're going to start at 9:15. The kids are going to meet together, do some morning exercises, and then the adults are going to meet together as well for some announcements and what's going on that day. And then after announcements, we're going to break away with the kids, ideally not your own child, and either work on some skills or take them to a station-based lesson or activity. And that's going to vary by day. We want to target ending class around 10:15. However, some kids, if they have the energy and they want to continue on, or if they want to go up the lift and level up with a certified instructor, they can continue their class up to 11 o'clock. And then at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, there are adult lessons typically available for snowboarding and skiing. Punch cards. I'm not sure if these are being sent out with passes or if they're going to be handed out the first day, but every student at Sky Tavern is going to have a little punch card on them, whether they're skiing or snowboarding. Students will receive a punch card at the end of every class, whether or not they're moving up in levels. So if they continue a second class at level 1, they will get a second punch. This way we can keep track if any kids are getting stuck at a particular level. And then we want to point out that only those class organizers, you know who you are if you've been asked to be one, and then certified instructors may actually perform the whole punch. And these are the same cards used in the older, larger snowboard and ski programs. Alright, getting punched up to the next level is really cool, but Grommets is really about having fun. So we do want kids to progress, but we want them to do it in a fun and safe way. We want to keep our expectations in check and not push these kids past what's fun for them. We do want to keep them moving so that they're having fun and they're not sitting. We also want to highlight a couple things here, including that levels 1 through 3 are primarily taught on flatter ground. So if you don't snowboard yourself, you can certainly teach these levels without being on a board. Alright, so we've talked a lot about levels, but we haven't really talked about what they are. Level 1 students are just starting out. They're really just trying to get comfortable on their snowboard, learning how to skate around with one foot out. But if they can complete the at-home exercises that we sent out over email and be able to glide and turn to a stop, either on their toes or their heels, they'll be punched up to level 2. Level 2 students are focusing on turning. They're navigating side to side in a Z motion down the hill. We call this traversing. And then straight gliding with one foot out like they'd be getting off a lift. They should be able to perform a J turn and a C turn to be able to pass to level 3. Level 3 students are learning how to navigate down steeper terrain, primarily blue squares, using different techniques such as side slipping or what we call a falling leaf on both their heel side and their toe side of their snowboard, and they're introduced to the chairlift as well. To pass to level 3C from level 3, students must ride the chairlift and successfully unload the chairlift without falling and navigate their way down the entire back trail without assistance and remain in control the whole time. Now level 3C, a lot of students spend a lot of time here, but for good reason. Level 3C students are working to confidently link turns, we call these S turns, and practice doing so on what we call the 4 bowl, which is our most popular blue square terrain run. To pass to level 4, students must be able to consistently and confidently, without hesitating, link turns down that entire 4 bowl. And they'll also be evaluated for a certified instructor to make sure that they're ready for level 4, which is a huge step in skills. So level 4 students are learning more advanced techniques by dynamically flexing and extending their bodies to change edges from their toe side to their heel side or vice versa on that blue square terrain. Level 5 is riding switch. That would be your non-natural direction. So if you're right foot forward, you're getting more comfortable riding left foot forward or vice versa. Level 6 is carving. Level 7 and above is a lot more advanced techniques and primarily focused actually around freestyle. In addition to the punch cards that kids are going to have on themselves, at the check-in desk, each student is going to have a progress card about half the size of a sheet of paper. This is where we're going to record attendance, including what level they're starting the day out as and what level they're ending the day as. Lots of times that's going to be the same level, and that's okay. We're also keeping track of a lot of the skills that are associated with each level, whether or not they've been introduced to it, whether or not they're starting to get it or they're complete master at it. Now, they don't need to completely master all the skills for each level in order to be punched to the next one. However, it gives us a good idea of where we're at. And then as we're teaching kids, we can review their card and see what they need to work on, as well as make any notes on the back of the card that might be helpful for their next class. Okay, so we want to make sure to fill out these cards at check-in and at checkout. After class, we are all volunteers, so please help us clean up and put away any gear from the grommets area. That includes level post signs that need to be put away, collecting all the vests, leashes, any equipment that's been taken out or borrowed, and break down the check-in station and return that to storage as well. Make sure there's no trash around in the area, and then also help us break down the mini park that we'll talk about in a little bit. Please make sure to have a meeting spot where you can meet your kid and the rest of your family. There is lunch available in the lodge, but you're welcome to bring some yourself. Please don't camp at any picnic tables or reserve a table for yourself for the day. You can leave equipment down in the grommets area in a nice orderly fashion, but please do not leave any snowboard equipment on the snow in front of the racks near the lodge. We're better than that. Let's please respect that area and use the racks and not just set our boards down on the ground. There are adult lessons usually at 1 o'clock, and then also there's open riding or skiing available usually until the lifts close at around 4 o'clock. Alright, next let's talk about some gear. We're not going to focus on snowboards. Hopefully you have your snowboard already. If you don't, please go back and look at the emails that were sent that have some tips and recommendations on choosing a snowboard. Other than that, please make sure you mark all of your gear with your child's name. Snowboards will be looking very similar, if not the exact same, on the snow. And we don't want parents taking home the wrong board, which definitely has happened before. Students also must have their name on the front and back of their helmet. It's extremely helpful for not only the person instructing them that day, but also for certified instructors, and I promise you they will get more attention when they have their name on their helmet. Speaking of helmets, goggles, and gloves, they are all required safety equipment on the hill. So please make sure your kids know that those are not optional. Make sure you apply sunscreen, and make sure you're bringing your child is dressed in layers. In the Sierras, it's going to start out cold in the morning at the beginning of class. However, as class starts, as we start moving, the sun comes out, it's going to get warm. We want to be able to shed a layer or two without just taking off one giant coat. Safety. Alright, nearly every ski resort has adopted the responsibility code, the skier's responsibility code. And many states, including Nevada and California, have actually incorporated it into state law. These are rules and regulations, guidelines on staying safe on the mountain, especially in regards to relationships with other riders and who would be responsible in an incident, basically how to stay safe. At Sky Tavern, this isn't just a sign that we post for liability. We want to make sure that we're teaching this in the lessons. So, with little kids, whenever we're coming to emerge, I'm usually shouting, make sure to look to the right, make sure to look to the left, or look uphill, look to merge, so that they're not cutting people off, or they don't put themselves in a dangerous situation, all right? Sky Tavern is not an area where we can just stick a kid at the top of the hill and say, see you at the bottom. I know some of us were taught that way skiing. That's not in grommets. We want to be safe. That's really the most important thing here. So please review this responsibility code. Try to teach it to your own kids when you can. And then, of course, teach it as we go along and teaching our lessons. Freestyle. We saw in those upper lessons that freestyle is taught in those more advanced courses that typically our little guys are not going to make it to, especially not in their first couple of years. But in grommets, we set up freestyle terrain features, sometimes a full park with 10 plus features. This is one of the coolest things I think we have at Sky Tavern. It's something that I've never seen at any other Tahoe resort. And the kids absolutely love it. We usually call it the mini park. Sometimes it'll be called the Grom Park, but we want to be absolutely clear. It's not just for grommets. It's for skiers as well, and a lot of little skiers, especially the little Sky kids. They absolutely love the little mini freestyle park. We have a lot of fun jam sessions there, and this is something really cool that I get really excited about. That said, because a lot of the features are so small, though, we really can't leave them overnight. Sometimes we can leave them over like Saturday night. So we do need a lot of help taking them out of storage, putting them back in storage, raking them, grooming them. So if you've got any parents out there who'd like to be some Grom Park rakers, we would love to have you volunteer, help us set set these things up. Sometimes I'll go up on a Friday night and set them up, but we could set them up early in the morning if we get there early enough. So in the park or any of the parks, we do have a special set of rules. These are also adopted by most ski resorts. It's called Smart Park or Park Smart. It's an acronym that stands for starting small, making a plan, always looking before we leave, respecting others, respecting the features, respecting the park, and then also taking it easy. We don't want to be jumping into a park just kind of willy-nilly. This is a safety issue. We don't want to fall in these features and get hurt. We want to make sure the kids are calling their drops, letting them know that they're going so that no one else cuts them off. We want to make sure that they're not cutting anyone off. We want to make sure that they're not doing features that they haven't been trained to do. We've talked a lot about muscle memory, and a lot of this comes down to the home practice preparation email that was sent out that encouraged playing around on the carpet, having your child strap into their snowboard, be comfortable on their snowboard, trying a lot of different maneuvers on the carpet, including getting up, trying to twist their board, lean on different edges of the board, tilting their board. These are all the muscle movements that directly translate to the snow and allow us to steer our snowboard. And so the more we practice this, honestly, the more natural snowboarding is for these kids. So we'll do this as exercising or as exercises in the morning, but really those kids who practice more at home are leaps and bounds ahead of those kids who are strapping into their snowboards for the first time. Dryland is coming up. Dryland is known as the soft start of the season or first day. Unless you've already been snowboarding at other resorts this season, please plan on attending Dryland. It is our first day of class. So look out for the email and the official date of that. Until then, please review this slide deck. Have your child continue playing and practicing on the carpet at home. Reference the email and video on that, and then continue watching the Teaching Grommets Snowboarding YouTube playlist that we sent out. You can search Tavern Grommets on YouTube, find that playlist. It's got excellent videos on there, all of which we're going to incorporate into class, so please watch it multiple times if you can, especially right before we start out. Alright, thank you so much for joining and sticking with me. We're really excited to get started. Hopefully you and your kids are too. Stand by for that email confirming the date of Dryland, and then continue having your kids play on the carpet or out in the snow and watching those YouTube videos, alright? We'll see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye.